Hello. Welcome to the high school graduation. My name is Jody Grass, and I am the head of school. I'm going to ask if you have a cell phone, if you can silence a cell phone during the ceremony. So I'm going to give you a second to do that. We just had the 8th grade graduation, and many cell phones went off, so it's a good reminder. So let's start with a moment of silence. Before we bring out our seniors, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the people who make celebrations like this possible and can sometimes be invisible. Thank you to our operations team, Dave Solis, Jacqueline Valle, Joe Manfredi, Julia San Bartolome, Lucy Pacheco, Marga Casper, and Niall Sherman. I also want to thank our outreach team, Warren Peterson, Jaime Flores, and Nate Bohm. Please welcome our director of the high school, Russ Bowen.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. As director of our high school program, I have the honor and the privilege every year of inviting our graduating class to the stage. This year's class is comprised of artists, animators, musicians, scholars, and poets. They are kind and inquisitive, and the values of Oak Grove shine brightly in their character and their spirit. Would everyone please help me welcome to the stage the Oak Grove High School graduating class of 2022.
Surprise. We've had a lot of events this week, so they handled that very well. When Oak Grove was founded in 1975, our founder, Jiddu Krishnamurti, wrote the intent of the school. In it, he writes, "Surely, a school is a place where one learns the totality, the wholeness of life. Academic excellence is absolutely necessary, but a school includes much more than that. It is a place where both the teacher and the taught explore not only the outer world, the world of knowledge, but also their inner thinking and their behavior." Over the past week, our seniors delivered TED Talk-like presentations we call gateways. The talks were framed around focus questions that each student chose and which they used to center their talk. Some examples of the questions include, how has high school influenced my ability to observe, fact-find, and question? In what ways has the relationships I have formed at school influenced me? How did my high school experience help me discover my strengths and my challenges? I had the honor of listening to every one of the gateways presented right here in our gazebo. Each student showed up as their unique self, chose different focus questions, and had wildly different things to say. But there was one common thread. Each graduate shared moments when they chose to let go of or challenge a belief about themselves. They described a moment of awareness when they chose to respond to a situation or a thought differently than they had before. This included taking social and physical risks, asking for help, and trying something new, something beyond their well-established comfort zone. They shared being absolutely certain and even dogmatic about a political ideal, and through conversation, realizing that maybe I don't know anything at all. Not being into theater, but auditioning for the play. Believing they hated camping and choosing to go on an optional backpacking trip. Not being a leader, but running for student council. In a world where who we are seems to only be shrinking, where people label themselves based on their political beliefs, where they live, in some cases on their interests, these students are smashing through the conventional restrictions and narrowness of identity. Each student has within them a myriad of possibilities, and they are stretching the limits of how and who they choose to be in the world. Each graduate acknowledged in a different way and through their experience that who they are is not what they have done or what they have believed about themselves or the world, but something constantly emerging and unknowable at the same time. A little further in the original intent of the school from 1975, our founder wrote, from this they begin to discover their own conditioning and how it distorts their thinking. This conditioning is the self, to which such tremendous and cruel importance is given. Freedom from conditioning and its misery begins with awareness. Please welcome Nicola Blunt, who will introduce our first graduate.
Never afraid, a force to be reckoned with, natural leader, Cassius Calzini.
After I take off my clip, or I keep it on there? Okay. Hi, guys. I've always valued intentional silence as a time and space to center oneself in the present moment and reflect. That being said, I'd like to start with a moment of silence. I remember being in elementary school sitting where you are now. In between each person I watched cross the stage, I dreamt of how that will one day be me. I began writing my graduation speech in 6th grade, and while I thought I would have it all figured out now, when faced with writing it down, the words won't come out. How do you sum up 12 years of exponential growth in 5 minutes? It's easy to get caught up on all the things I will miss. I won't eat another orange sitting on the stumps with old MacDonald. No more Soti La Do hand gestures that I can't remember with Aaron Van Alstine. No more student council meetings, school trips, or years of school mornings greeting classmates. The end of an era is always emotional, but rather than focusing on the sad, I'm choosing to look at the new beginnings that this end offers. Next year, I'll be going to Hampshire College in Massachusetts to study psychology and human development. Thanks. Leaving Ojai will be a really big transition for me, but I'm confident that Oak Grove has prepared me with the right tools I will need. Thanks to this community, I am confident in who I am. I am a friend, a learner, a leader, and so much more I have yet to find out. If I ever feel lost or alone, I know I can come home to a warm embrace from the family I have created here at Oak Grove. There's a lot I could say, but the most important to me is thanking the people who have made me who I am today. I want to begin by taking a moment to thank my beautiful classmates I've had the pleasure of growing up with. Ravi, thank you for our close friendship during a time in junior high when we really needed it. Lola, thank you for always bringing your confidence to every discussion. If I ever go to a Met Gala, I'll be coming to you for fashion advice. Earl, thank you for always being someone I can call to lean on. I love that we've created a relationship that allows us to fully communicate with one look. Max, thank you for bringing light to every room you walk into. I don't think I'll ever meet a person who gives better hugs than you do, and I am so, so sad that you're not here with us. Ame, take off the paperclip. Thank you for giving me a new perspective and instances to grow. I've thoroughly enjoyed the ways in which we've learned from each other. Sieren, thank you for sharing the same love for poetry as me and always encouraging me to share. Poetry Club was easily, thanks, one of the highlights of my high school experience. Parker, thank you for being you and being willing to share that with me and the rest of the class this year. Lilly, thank you for encouraging me to always stand up for myself. Our differences complement each other in perfect ways, and I'm so glad that we became close this year. Nicola, thank you for being by my side, sharing the same curiosity and readiness to try new things. I value our open conversations and talks on existential topics. Harrison, thank you for bringing your positivity to every situation. Your heart is huge, and I can't wait to see you on Broadway. Robert, my buddy, thank you for being my constant for the past 4,302 days. I don't know how I will go to school every day not being greeted by your smile. Cosmo, thank you for sharing my same sense of humor and laughing at all of my jokes when nobody else does. And thank you for the Crocs. Victoria, thank you for your courage and confidence I've been so lucky to have since I started my first day in first grade. Julia, thank you for sharing your creativity everywhere you go. You are a firework and a bad biddy. Gray, thank you for your constant selfless consideration for the ones you love. Your kindness is an inspiration to everyone. You all have a special place in my heart and make me so proud to call you my home. Thank you to my family and my friends who know me better than anybody. Hannah, my twin flame, I can't wait for all life has in store for us. Guy, you are my rock, and I love you more than you know. Thank you for living, laughing, loving, and learning with me. Most of all, thank you to my beautiful mom. I am forever grateful for all the sacrifices you've made having to raise me by yourself. I've learned the most from you, and I wouldn't be the person I am without your support and infinite love. I look forward to what the future holds in our now adult mother and daughter relationship. To the oak grove, the trees, the bees, the bunnies, and the lizards, you constantly find ways to make me fall in love with you again and again. Thank you for showing me what beauty is. And last not least, my teachers and Oak Grove staff. Words will never do justice to how much you have impacted my life. I wish I could thank you all individually, but that would take a lifetime. So to all, thank you for always encouraging me to do my best, helping me learn, and putting up with my often extremely unfiltered vocabulary and remarks. Ending this speech is probably the most difficult part, but as cheesy as it isn't the end, it's only the beginning. Thank you. Talented and kind, magic made on every frame, every page, straight fire. Gray.
Think of where you are sitting right now, under oak trees, surrounded by an environment rich with nature, perhaps with the sounds of birds and children playing in the background as you came up towards this school. Where you are right now, I would have rather fiddled with the dead leaves on the ground than observed the living ones when I first came to this school. You would have seen me spacing out, picking at grass, rather than engaging in conversation with my peers, or even prefer to stay inside of the classrooms most of the time where I could be alone. I would resent the moments of silences that were held at gatherings similar to this one. Some months prior, I had been going to public school. There, I felt as if I could control my day-to-day routine. Everything felt so contained when I would plan things out and have them go my way. Every frame of animation that I created was to be nothing short of perfect, and the friendships and relationships I made along the way had to be so as well. So often when faced with a situation that I did not like in my peer group, I hesitated to voice my concerns and my true feelings in order to keep the peace. I swallowed my emotions and moved on. What I found out about Oak Grove was that this was a school where there wasn't a high significant demand for command here. We called the teachers by their first names, laid in the grass during class hours, and had open inquiries with no prompts at all. Yes, classes still had deadlines, but I felt this natural vibe of chillness emit from the campus. This was something that scared me. In my time of adjusting to a new school during January of 2020, as well as the effort to keep everything under control, I truly rejected seeing the beauty of Oak Grove's nature and freedoms that it gave. I had a hard time making friends, asking for help with schoolwork, and I convinced myself that I was okay. And then I started hearing it on the news, among my family and in the classroom, that the COVID-19 pandemic had struck. The lockdown was initiated, and we had to resume classes remotely. Of course, this was a huge adjustment for everyone, and having to learn to adapt to this new environment was really tough. But when my classmates returned to in-person learning in October of 2020, at the start of my junior year, my parents and I decided that we did not want to risk catching the virus when there wasn't a vaccine yet. It would be safer if I were learning remotely. Victoria and I were the only two students that made this choice, and it was nothing to compare to what I experienced prior to the lockdown. And it was nothing, from glitches to audio failures, I struggled to get my schoolwork done and to understand my classes, and all of this was without my control. Because of this physical and emotional isolation that I had no management over, I turned to self-destructive tendencies to try to keep that control. Self-harm, barely eating food, and hiding my feelings from my loved ones. Suddenly, I craved to see the trees and talk to my peers, something just a few months before I would have ignored. When I went back to in-person learning just the senior year, I was more excited than ever to get my life back to normal. I started paying attention to the nature of Oak Grove, and I met people who would soon become my closest friends. But just when I thought that by being in person, my controlled life would return, in the middle of my senior trip to Hawaii, my cat, Cinnamon, died. I didn't understand. I was in person, I had friends, I was reinvested in nature, and yet the instance of my cat's death threw me off balance. I got everything that I wished for, yet it wasn't enough. So when I returned from Hawaii, I thought about this deeply. Cinnamon's death could have sent me back to square one from my growth, but it didn't. We mourned for her, but it also served as a revelation for me. This is one thing that I learned from her death. No one in the history of humanity ever has had complete control. From the past kings and queens to the pandemic that shook the world, no matter how much we think we do not have any domination over the timeline of events. That power is left within the universe. The question I had to ask myself was, how do I live with that? Just this year, I was rejected by all my top animation colleges. This was the first test after my revelation. Would I fight the course of events or surrender to it? I chose to surrender and allowed nature to take its course. Instead of stressing a ton over how I could have done things differently, I've started a new sketchbook. I'm remaking my portfolio, and I'm going to reapply to those colleges to chase my dreams of becoming a character animator. But no matter how many stories I create, I'll never forget the characters that have taken part in my own life. Victoria, for her fiery confidence to warm me up on cold days, and Harrison, for his enthusiasm and our shared passion in the visual arts. You two are the most amazing friends I could have had the pleasure of bonding with this year. Thank you, Mom, Dad, and Rylan, for your never-ending care and nurturing for my dreams, and Risa, for your gentle encouragement for my self-improvement. I love all of you. And thank you to my senior class and the community of Oak Grove that crafted the rest of my high school experience. I'm uncertain about what's going to happen in the future, but for the first time in my life, I can say that I'm happily okay with that. Thank you. Elegant nomad, and integrity is steel, a true gentleman. Please give a warm welcome to the musical sensation, Harrison Love.
Sorry, I just gotta take a moment here. Just a little bit nervous, you know how stage fright and all. When I came back, I had no idea how much I would live. I first came to Oak Grove for 7th through 8th grades, then left for Villanova, and finally came back here for my senior year. I was welcomed back with open arms by the faculty and the students, and I thought that this great school would be best for my future in terms of what I want to do as a career. I am looking forward to studying filmmaking and acting even further. Thank you. Yeah. When I came back, I had hoped that I would succeed both academically and socially here. Could be. Who knows? There's something due any day. I will know right away, soon as it shows. It may come cannonballing down through the sky, gleaming its eye, bright as a rose. Because I am a lover of musical theater, I participated in this year's production of The Sound of Music, and I loved it. I got to transform into the Captain Von Trapp and enjoyed my time with a great crew and cast of actors. I also went on the senior trip to Hawaii. I had only been there once when I was 3. On the trip, I saw the sun break through the clouds onto a valley of farmland below, something I'd only seen in photographs. I walked the worn-down streets of Hilo and stayed at a hostel that, in all honesty, looked more like a movie set. Both before and during the trip, I met people that introduced me to different ways of living, all of them fascinating. Gray was my rock, the first person I formed a deep connection with. We got to know each other through our shared values or shared interests, my apologies, and more importantly, our values. I'm really grateful for that connection. For that connection made me come back to life over and over again. For she made me feel for the first time in a while that I could do no wrong. In all fairness, my other classmates have been great too. Victoria, her honesty and strength in times of pressure. Cassius, her generosity and ability to be a great leader. Lola, her confidence and sense of peaceful living. Robert, his humor. Cosmo, his laid-back attitude and love of music. Earl, his support of nature. Ravi, his devotional love of filmmaking. Julia, her cool attitude. Lilly, her no-nonsense attitude and willingness to get stuff done. Max, his openness and sincerity. Parker, their sense of fun and love of pop culture. Sieren, their kindness and excitement that lights up their eyes. Nicola, her ability to understand others to a profound degree and her compassion. And Ame, her passionate nature and deep love for the things she cares about. Looking at all the great qualities of my classmates, I am able to see and admire the diversity in thoughts and choices. Now what about myself? I don't know if I could really describe myself with the same tone. It hasn't been easy. Low self-esteem is never the kindest of friends. However, I know now what is more important than that. Self-love and a balanced point of view above all else. In the fall, I will be going to Santa Barbara City College. My most gracious thanks go to my mom for always loving care and support. I am so grateful that you're here with me in this lifetime. To my dad for showing me how not to live with negativity, to all my other family members, to all my classmates, to Sia, to Ananya, to my teachers, especially Aaron, Ron, and Deborah. I thank them all for their kindness, support, and for being my friends. And I guess in a strange way, I thank myself for making mistakes I needed to make so that I can grow into the person I wanted to be. To my dear classmates, congratulations. To my dear audience, congratulations, and thank you for listening to my story. It means a lot. I feel really blessed to be back, both physically and mentally. Good night, brothers. Good night. Forever climbing, rocky man swinging around, kind-hearted, no smile. Ladies and gentlemen, Ravi Segal.
Oh my God. Ever since I was little, I never wanted to give this speech. Partially because I hate giving speeches, but also because I knew I would be leaving everything I know behind. I've been at Oak Grove for almost 10 years, a long 10 years, yet looking back, I wish it had been longer. Saying goodbye has never been easy for me, and over the past few weeks, I have found myself rushed with nostalgia when I realize that my time here has come to an end. But something coming to its end is its only certainty. I'm happy to say that my growth as a person over these 10 years is something that I share with everyone around me. Being with more or less the same small group of people for such a significant amount of time, I've had the privilege of growing up alongside many of my closest friends. A decade of change has made us somewhat indistinguishable from who we used to be. Some things haven't changed, though. Earl, Robert, and I are still getting ourselves into stupid and dangerous situations. We look back at photos of ourselves in freshman year and laugh about how we thought as seniors we'd have it all figured out. I still hope that in a few years I'll know what I'm doing, knowing very well I won't. I'm still today as lost in the world as I was 10 years ago, and I will always be. There's a pin. But I realize that being lost is okay. I don't have to know what I'm doing. I can be unsure of the future, and I am free to change as a person. I joined the high school worried about how others viewed me, and sadly spent little time making and maintaining good relationships with those around me. When we were forced inside for quarantine, I used it as an opportunity to ease my social anxiety and hide from people. I neglected to reach out, and I isolated myself from my friends and peers. Coming back to in-person learning, in the winter of my junior year, it was more of the same. Being back after so long, I'd prefer to keep my head down, and as long as somebody wasn't talking to me, I wouldn't talk. Luckily, the following summer, I was given the opportunity to travel for the first time since the start of the pandemic. While backpacking through Iceland, I met a lot of new people and came to the realization that having those relationships was more important to me than I had thought. Immediately after coming back, I was glad to see that my friends were still there for me. My senior year has been like night and day compared to the prior years of high school, and I'm extremely grateful to the relationships I have now. I owe everything to the people who have made Oak Grove so hard to say goodbye to. I want to say thank you to my parents for the opportunity and support both of you have always given me. I'm convinced that Oak Grove is the right choice. I want to say thank you to my brother for being my inspiration to be the best person I can be, and to my sister for being the protective third parent she is. Thank you, Will, for the wonderful long-winded conversations we've had. Brittany, thank you for sparking my love of science and helping me learn to be a better student. Aaron and Sydney, thank you for your patience with our very vocal class, and Russ for always encouraging me to do my best. Thank you, Marie, for your dedication to helping me jump through the burning hoops that is math. Thank you, Aaron Gardner, for letting me pick your brain about whatever I want to know, and for being a genuinely amazing and inspiring adult. Bo, you have been extremely influential in my relationship with the outdoors. Thank you for the crazy adventures, and I hope we can go on more in the future. And thank you, and to my closest friends, thank you for always being around, even when I think I'm alone. And as the future dictates, I may never see many of you ever again. So I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to the community that I've had the privilege of growing up in. Small but almighty, she's the best to be around. I know she'll go far. Julia Gianetti.
Oh, God.
If I were to go back in time and tell my 8-year-old self that I'm graduating today, here at Oak Grove School, I would never believe it. When my parents had to make the incredibly tough decision to move back to Brazil, I was devastated. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my country and love living there, but it absolutely broke my heart to have to leave this wonderful place where I spent 4 years creating bonds that would never be broken. But I knew it was the best decision for us at the time. For 7 years, I inquired about how different my life would have been if I had stayed here. I always had the desire to come back and experience high school in America. And when I was 15 years old, my dreams came true thanks to my parents' hard work. I was fortunate enough to move back to Ojai and enroll at Oak Grove School for the remainder of my high school career. Hearing the news that I would be moving back and joining my class that I hadn't seen in several years was so exciting, but also so frightening. And I was hesitant. I had gotten used to my life in Brazil and had created many strong bonds that I did not feel ready to move on from. But Oak Grove taught me a very valuable lesson that from the very start that I will carry on with me for the rest of my life. Strong bonds are forever. When I moved back to Ojai, I was scared that I was leaving all my friendships behind in Brazil, just like when I left Oak Grove 7 years ago. But when the time actually came, I came to find that all the bonds I had made were still there. I reconnected with all my peers, just like when we were little kids, and also got to make new friendships with the classmates who came to Oak Grove after I left. This place is where I've made some of my most cherished memories, and such as building fairy houses on trees and using acorn caps as their teacups, all the way to crazy dancing on the prom dance floor until my feet hurt. I'm so thankful for all the experiences that came with going to school here, like all the times I rode my bike with Lilly sitting on the handlebars to go get Starbucks in between online classes, or when Lilly finally got her license so I wouldn't have to pick her up on my bike. And we would just sit in her car and talk about nothing while we waited for classes to start. Or all the times we convinced Bo to not make us run laps. He loves us, I promise. Or even all the times me and Cosmo pulled all-nighters doing makeup assignments. All these experiences and many more made me who I am today. And I want to say thank you to my lovely parents for all the sacrifices they made to give me as many opportunities as possible, and for all the support and love they gave me. I also want to say thank you to my beautiful family that is in Brazil for all the support that they've given me in my journey. And certainly, last but certainly not least, I want to say thank you to the Oak Grove staff and community for making this place what it is. And shout out to my big brother Ian, Lilly, and Cosmo for being my support system. I would not be here without the help of all you wonderful people. Thank you. Full of joyous laughter, brave enough to disagree, a true fashionista, Lola Wyatt.
Hello, everyone. Did any of you know who you were in high school? Maybe you knew, or maybe it took you more time to figure it out. Well, I know who I am. I do have a lot to learn, but I know the person I am, my values, and my beliefs. I know my place in this world. I know what I bring and what will bring in the future. Oak Grove has helped me along this path of finding myself. It has given me the space to be myself, but also pushed me as a person. If I'd attended another school, I don't think I would have known myself as well. I started Oak Grove in the 8th grade. I came from a public middle school in Boulder, Colorado, and before that, a French immersion school in Los Angeles. Both of these experiences were unique, and they both challenged me and prepared me for Oak Grove. In the public middle school, I had a hard time because I was trying to fit in, but at the same time, I wanted to be myself. When I came to Oak Grove, I realized that my need to express myself was more important than fitting in. Expressing myself through what I wear is important to me, and it's been a part of me since I was a toddler. I'm grateful that Oak Grove has given me the space for that. Oak Grove has also pushed me personally and gotten me out of my social, emotional, and mental comfort zones. In my first few years here, I was very shy and didn't participate much in class. I had a hard time sharing my thoughts, opinions, and feelings in class because I was afraid of what others would think. I didn't have a view on the world yet, and I didn't know what my place was in it. But over time, I've found my voice in my place. I'm not afraid anymore, and I don't care what others think about me as much as I used to. Having this awareness, finding my voice, and ultimately knowing myself better has been like finding the missing piece of who I am. Being at Oak Grove has helped me deepen my connection with nature and appreciate the beauty of life more. Because of this, I started to appreciate Ojai more, despite the fact that I didn't initially like living here. Every day, I'm grateful to be here, surrounded by all this beauty. Most days, I sit outside and I just feel the sun on my skin. I listen to the birds chirp as I take in the beautiful view. This makes me feel free. I wish moments like these could last forever. In the future, wherever life takes me, I know that I can be free, that I can be at peace. My relationship with nature and the feeling of being free has given me the space to find who I am. I want to thank my teachers and peers for making these years wonderful and unforgettable. Thank you to my family and friends for supporting me. I'm grateful to my parents who gave so much for me and my brother and me to attend school here. I'm grateful that my lovely mother has taught me the most valuable lesson in life, which is to be kind and have compassion. My papa, my greatest influence in life, and my greatest friend. Thank you to my best friend, Allison, who came all the way to Canada to see this. Life is boring without you. You make me the happiest, and I don't know if I'd be on this podium today if I hadn't met you. Sieren, thank you for being an amazing friend and someone I've always looked up to. I'm taking a gap semester next year, during which I'll travel through Europe and then move to Paris to live indefinitely. Which has been my dream for as long as I can remember. My heart now belongs in Europe, but I'll never forget the wonderful time I've spent here in the United States. I'm forever grateful for the memories I've made here and the opportunity to graduate from Oak Grove. Over the years, my dad has asked me if moving to Ojai and going to Oak Grove was worth it. Each time I say yes, because I found myself, and I wouldn't have this kind of experience anywhere else. Thank you. The gamer who sleeps after coffee each morning, confident and bold, Victoria Cervantes.
Wow. Okay. Let me the page this. As you guys know me, I've lived here. This is literally my second home. And so I don't think a speech could describe how I'm feeling today. So I'm kind of going to wing it, guys. I've been here for 13 years. And this has been my home. And I truly am so thankful for spending my life here. This year was really weird because I didn't have the people I know and the people I grew up with. But I am so happy to be graduating today. I remember whenever I first visit the school with Joy, Jules' mom, giving me the tour. And I was on the main pathway going from the elementary school to the kindergarten. And I really remember learning how beautiful this campus was, and that's when I really started to appreciate everything. And I want to keep this short because I also don't want Aaron to maul me because I'm totally not following script. But this is how I am. Oak Grove taught me to live in the moment. Oak Grove taught me to be everything who I want to be and more. So I want to say thank you to Russ for keeping me honestly on track and saving my butt multiple times. To Sydney for being an amazing advisor and being an amazing friend. I love you so much. And to Jody for being my mom here. I love her so much, and we had our moment last night, but I can't like imagine what it's going to be like not going to school next year. And I want to thank my mom for being my greatest support, and my dad too, for always pushing me. Even sometimes I would yell at him because I didn't want to go on walks on 6 in the morning. But I know he was just looking out for me. And I want to thank Gray and Harrison for making life here a little bit more bearable. And to my friends that are not here, Jonah, Jason, Maddie, Gabby, Maple, you guys are honestly the best people, and you guys have literally saved me from a really dark time during the pandemic. And I love you all so much, and I can never thank you enough. And to my friends that are a little further away, Liam, Hazel, Elizabeth, Jose, Dante, you guys are amazing. You guys literally put up with my nonsense all the time and everything. And to the rest of my family, and my cousins specifically, Karina, Tavo, and Ariana, I love you guys so much, and you guys are literally my greatest support system. And then Bella, I have to specifically thank you because you've literally saved me this year from when I was sick for 6 months and not on campus. You were the one that was there helping me with everything, and I can never thank you enough. And so, thank you for everything. I love you all. Thank you. What? Oh, hi! Hi! Okay. Humor for dark days, a contagious confidence, raps ending with smiles. Robert Levitt.
Hello. There was a time at the end of middle school when I, like many other people, wanted a change. I looked into other schools and was pretty dead set on switching, but I remained at Oak Grove for one reason or another. Although I really wanted to switch, I'm very glad that I ended up staying. I still stayed friends with people from those other schools, though, and every time I talk to them, there are new characters that have come or old ones that have gone. I've figured out that the amount of people there makes it easy to drift in and out of different friendships. The close contact Oak Grove students have with each other and their teachers have really forced me to overcome differences with the people I care about, rather than just finding other people to spend time with. There are pros and cons to this, but I'm eternally grateful for having the friendships I have now. I've learned how important it is to push through for the ones you care about, and I'll be carrying this lesson to the largest college in the United States, where I'll be attending in the fall. Arizona State University is a very big contrast to the 16-person classes I have now, but I know that I'll be very successful in my relationships if I continue to go at it with the attitude of pushing past differences and getting to know people for who they really are. This can look like understanding when people have a different opinion than you or really anything else. All the people here have influenced me, but there are a couple I want to thank specifically. First, my parents and my whole family. A big thank you. You've been there to support me through everything, and have given me the opportunity to come to the school and learn here in this unique environment. Although sometimes it feels like you're pushing me too hard, I love you and I know you just want what's best for me. Next, Aaron Gardner. You fostered my love for poetry and taught me that I'm capable of creating something that is beautiful. I remember coming into poetry class for the first time, and although I was inexperienced, I was very interested in what it had to offer. Sharing something so vulnerable made me nervous, and it still does, but after sharing a couple times, I slowly came into it. This really sparked something in me for poetry, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to learn about myself and share that in the process. Will Hornblower, thank you for putting a smile on my face every day of class and making sure that I never sat in the same spot for about 2 years because I wouldn't stop talking to my peers. Those peers are the reason I am the person that I am now. Finally, I want to thank those people and everyone else who got me where I am now. I wouldn't be here without you, and I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope that I'll see you again every day over the next few years, but if not, you'll be with me in my memory. Thank you. He's a damn good friend and an adventure partner. Watch out for that boat. Welcome Earl on stage.
Hello. Before I start, I'd like to thank my parents and my grandparents for coming and seeing my graduation. It really means a lot. And thank you to my class for getting me through this year. I came to Oak Grove in the 2nd grade, and as many of my classmates will undoubtedly mention, my family also chose Oak Grove for the unique atmosphere and setting. We loved it because it was so different from everywhere else. When I was in 6th grade, I decided that I wanted a greater challenge academically and transferred to OBS. During these middle school years, I felt incredibly lost. Though I did well socially and decently academically, every semester I fell short of the academic expectations that I had for myself and that others had for me. Though I was unable to admit it to either my parents or myself, I had no interest in being a straight-A student that everyone thought I should be. In fact, not only did I not want to be that person, but constantly being compared to what my perceived potential was took me out of actually living. I became unable to live as the person I was because he paled in comparison to the person that everyone thought I should be. When I came back to Oak Grove, none of these issues had been resolved. In fact, the cycle of consistent failure only strengthened its chokehold on my psyche. I started to act out, to take some control back from the many different lives I was leading. After a dramatic end of freshman year, I turned inward to isolate myself from my classmates and the world. My sophomore year was more of the same. COVID started and forced everyone indoors, which served my need for a place to hide from myself perfectly. It was in junior year that I started to slowly come to terms with the fact that I wasn't the person that everyone thought I should be. It was then that I began a very slow journey towards focusing on taking my identity back from the amalgamation that had been created by the people around me and myself. This transition manifested itself in my decision to try rowing in late October of junior year. This was what I had been waiting for. For the first time in my young adult life, I felt as though I had direction, something to work towards, a fresh start where no one expected anything of me. Finally, I could exceed expectations instead of falling short of them. Finally, I had the opportunity to focus my attention on something I was passionate about. I dedicated much of my free time to rowing. I trained outside of practice, and I improved faster than everyone else. I was finally ready to commit myself to something. Though I failed to make the boat for nationals, instead of crumbling under the weight of that failure, I doubled down and went to the Olympic development program with my 2 teammates, where I learned and developed even further. My grades even went up. Instead of the odd couple of C's, I got 3 A's at the beginning of my senior year. I felt on top of the world. Our team was poised to succeed on a national level. My grades were better than they had ever been. I was talking to big-time schools. Surely I'd made it. Finally, I was becoming the person they thought I could be. This was it. Then, in November, 20 minutes before launching for my very first official race for Cassius rowing, I got hit in the head by the side of I got hit in the side of the head by the stern of a 210-pound boat that 8 people were carrying. Though at the time I didn't understand the severity of the impact, the concussion I received would turn out to be a season-ending injury and completely debilitated me. In an instant, the life that I had spent 5 years desperately trying to fulfill disappeared. For the following couple of weeks, I went through life the same way that I would imagine Harrison Bergeron's father did. Every pesky, self-reflective thought being swatted out of my mind by a sharp twisting of a headache. It was only on the Hawaii trip in January that I could begin to understand what had just happened. Only when I was at my weakest could I understand that trying to live the life that everyone wanted from me was no life at all. Throughout all of the struggles that I've had, both as a student and as a person, Oak Grove has taught me that it is important to live in the present, but always harbor the belief that tomorrow will be better than today. To not lose hope in yourself because this community will always cherish and believe in you. There's no place that I would rather have grown up in, and I'm forever grateful for the people who made it my home. Thank you. And up next, calmly finding the answers to the cosmos, a penny at the time. Cosmo Penny.
What's up, people? I could talk about so many things in the speech. It was very difficult for me to find what exactly I wanted to focus on. But once I looked back at my memories at Oak Grove and my camera roll, I knew at that moment what I wanted to talk about. When I was very little, about 3 years old, I attended Oak Grove Early Childhood Program and went through preschool with my good friend Robert, only to then leave to public school for kindergarten. I think I gained a lot of experience going to public school, but nothing beats being able to express yourself freely around your peers, like I can here at Oak Grove. I went to public school through sophomore year of high school when I decided to come to Oak Grove. I remember the first day I visited, seeing Max, who I wish was here so badly, who I went to school with in elementary school and middle school, seeing teachers' familiar faces from years ago, and above all else, seeing Mikel eat it on his skateboard after class. Before I knew it, I was a part of the Oak Grove family again. After my first month of being at Oak Grove, I made more friends than I ever had in my life. I remember the first time I hung out with Ravi after school. He would take me up to 33 to go rock climb with the boys. And we would spend hours having a great time laughing at how we didn't bring our climbing shoes and how we were basically slipping into the water below us. Since we were little sophomores. Whenever we all wanted to go to the climbing gym, Brittany and Bo had to pick us up and pack us all in the forever forgotten Oak Grove van and drive us all the way there. We would spend hours climbing bouldering routes and challenging each other to finish the hardest route we could. Shortly after all these great times, COVID hit. Huge bummer. During that time period, I struggled with connecting with my friends like I did before, and I got used to spending time alone. It almost felt like a piece of my life disappeared from my memory. Since all of our lives were basically stuck on a daily Zoom, eat, sleep, repeat, I felt as though my entire junior year was a bit of a blur. Even though we were all back together, felt like the world was in a world devastation period. I spent a lot of time learning how to play my guitar. I started studying different artists every day who played a lot of different genres and researching how they got their guitar sounds and how they started their music careers. This was a time of self-discovery for me. I found that I'm truly passionate about music. Senior year rolled around. I was deep into the music creating world. It's all I thought about, while I also started my shocking realization against being a senior in high school. I remember when all of us seniors went up to the Ojai retreat to spend time reflecting on ourselves before we officially started our year before life starts. I realized that I have only one more year with my closest friends before we all disperse. I grew a lot from that realization. Since then, I've started hanging out with these people whom I love so much. We started to hang out outside of school more and go rock climbing together again. I went to Mammoth with Ravi, Max, and Earl. We had a great trip, and I thoroughly enjoyed being Max's night terror when he screamed at me as if I was going to murder him right then and there, when in reality I was just getting a glass of water. I also experienced one of my favorite trips of my life in Hawaii with my classmates. I created a bond with almost everyone in my class during that trip. One of my favorite experiences was trying to fall asleep with Earl, Ravi, Max, and Robert as we were crying of laughter from the Mullet Man snoring the night away. Don't worry. I didn't forget I'm the best poker player of all time. Bo can't wait to see my next hand. 3 of a kind. Finishing my senior year, I feel so grateful for my class for always being there for me, not only as my friends, but also my second family. Oh my God. So sad. I want to thank them for everything they did for me over the years, and I can't express how grateful I am to have them welcome me into the Oak Grove community again. I want to say thank you to my family and all my wonderful teachers, especially Aaron Gardner for having an answer to every question you could possibly throw at him, and Bo for being my poker buddy. My brother, my sister, and my brother-in-law Nick for being the best siblings I could ever ask for. My mother-in-law Simi for always being loving and caring to me over the years and making the best hot sauce to ever exist. I want to say thank you to my very special nieces for being my 2 bright lights in my life since I was 9 years old. I wouldn't be who I am now if it wasn't for them. I want to say thank you for Julia for always supporting me and helping me with my music projects and everything I do. You're my inspiration in life, and I love you so much. I also want to thank Ben and Mikel for getting me to come to Oak Grove in 2019. Finally, thank you to my parents for guiding me and exploring my creativity and raising me through so far 18 years of my life, not 8. I'm so grateful for the experiences I had at Oak Grove. And even though I may not be ready for the life beyond high school, I'm excited for whatever comes next. Thank you. A true lifesaver. Today and the future, Dr. Amazing. Ame Martinez.
I was born and raised in Mexico City. I lived in the same house my whole childhood and went to only 2 schools before attending Oak Grove. Basically, I was never conditioned to expect change, and I always resented it when it happened. Nonetheless, after struggling with a lot of different elements at my old school, I decided enough was enough. I needed a change. All of my cousins went to an academically rigorous, fancy boarding school in Connecticut. I'd always thought I wanted to go there as well, but by the time my 9th grade year rolled around, I no longer wanted to go to the freezing East Coast. Spoiler alert, I'll end up there anyway. I told my parents I wanted to go to a progressive school in sunny California because it's always been a special place for me, as my mom's best friends live here. I wanted to explore non-academic interests for the first time in my life. I've always been highly academically driven, or I should say academically obsessed. So that's when my parents, with the help of my old principal, found Oak Grove. Brittany interviewed me in early March of 2019. I visited Oak Grove in June, and then, in the blink of an eye, I found myself moving into Besant House, the OGS dorm, in mid-August. I did not belong here. The campus was nothing like any school I'd ever seen before. The town of Ojai was just a bizarre, overpriced hippie farm to me. And everyone threw around spiritual nonsense like center yourself and set intentions. Sorry. I remember the sleepless nights, those first few days at Besant House, aching to go back to what I was used to, wishing to be in my room where the walls weren't paper thin and I didn't have to be constantly surrounded by people. On orientation day, I called my friend and sobbed to her for an hour, venting about how much I disliked this place. I could never see this place becoming my home. She told me I would grow to absolutely love it here, and I thought she was crazy. When COVID hit and I was forced to go back to Mexico to finish my sophomore year remotely, I realized she was right. I had grown fond of Oak Grove. It's true that you don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. After much discussion with my parents, I was granted the opportunity to come back to OGS for the rest of my high school years. So I decided that when I went back to in-person learning, I would say yes to new experiences I had previously rejected. That is when Oak Grove truly became my home. Here, I have learned to navigate a small social circle of people who have, for the most part, known each other for a very long time. This aspect was probably the toughest one for me. I didn't make tons of friends or connections, especially in my class, in part because of the fact that I missed all the class trips due to COVID-related reasons. However, I fostered friendships I will forever hold close to me, and I've also, very unexpectedly, met the love of my life. I have created bonds with adults who have taken care of me, supported me, and challenged me like no one ever did before. And all of that has led me to grow in my personal relationship with myself. At Oak Grove, I've been able to start working through my fear of not being the best at everything I do. And I'm still not over it, but I'm working through it. This has given me the chance to step out of my comfort zone and experience new things, which has brought immense frustration, but also immense joy to my life. The single best change that has occurred during my Oak Grove years has been the constant improvement of my mental state. Oak Grove has provided a safe space for me to finally take charge of my own well-being. Before I came here, I fought through years of severe depression. I never thought I would live to see the day of my high school graduation. But today, I can stand here and say I have the next 20 to 30 years pretty much planned out. I'll be attending the University of Rochester in upstate New York in the fall. To follow my dreams of becoming a neurosurgeon. And Medicine chose me instead of me choosing it, and I'm so incredibly grateful that I get to pursue this passion. I want to help people in radical ways, and combined with long study hours and hard work, as well as the fact that the human body is the single coolest thing to ever exist, medicine is perfect for me. The reason why I have reached a place in which I'm excited about the future is because I've had the best support system in OGS and outside of OGS to help me through every hurdle. So thank you for being a part of my journey. Thank you, Coneja and Señor Samumu, my parents, for forcing me to come here in the first place. I hate to say it, but you were right. Thank you to my friends in Mexico for loving me from afar, and a huge shout out to Sofia and Nadia, who are here today. Yay. Thank you, Annalise, for your guidance, Mary, for your unconditional support, Ari, por nuestra conexión tan única, Mateo, for your care. Thank you, teachers and classmates, for helping me grow as a student in person. You have all taught me so much, and I will never forget you. Thank you, Bess and House people, for giving me a home here. Thank you, Liam, for being my person through thick and thin. I'm the luckiest person ever because I'm able to be your person too. Thank you, Val, my therapist, for helping me stay alive. Thank you, 21 Pilots, for making music. Thank you, Oak Grove, for giving me a place that's so incredibly hard to say goodbye to. My heart feels heavy when I think about the fact that Ojai, the hippie farm, will no longer be my place of residence, but I know that it will forever be my home. And thank you, 10th grade Ame, for holding on to life with a tight grip and not losing your hope in me. Even though I don't like hugs, I embrace you today. And I hope you're as proud of me as I am of you. Thank you all. Don't try to test her. Bold and strong, she'll knock you down. Yet her heart is huge. Lilly Guerrero.
It is so good to be out of that sun. Okay. So orientation day for the freshmen and new students was my very first day at Oak Grove. I was an incoming sophomore, and I was not excited. I had friends already from my previous school, and I didn't need more. Throughout orientation, I was relentlessly texting my best friend Brandon, begging him to pick me up. He refused, so I resorted to option 2, text mom. She finally agreed to pick me up before the get to know you activity, but I had to stay for the actual orientation part. I walked over to where the staff were serving ice cream for everyone, where Nayeli, who was the only person who I recognized from visiting the year before, was there, and she quite literally forces this girl over to talk to me. She said, "You guys are in the same grade, you should talk," and then left. I looked this girl over, and I remember that she had a very colorful bag on, and I thought she looked kind of weird with it. But we made awkward small talk until we ran out of things to say, and she walked away. And I went back to texting my friend. That girl was Julia. Later, during the orientation, we were walking back to the high school, and Julia and I started talking again. This time, not against our will. And that's how it all started. I don't even remember what we talked about during that walk, but from that moment onward, Julia and I became inseparable, and she became my very best friend, and I couldn't be more grateful that I met her. And I'm going to cry now, so I don't like you right now, but as time went on, I started feeling more comfortable with the people with whom I was going to school with. But I really only hung out with Julia and Ian outside of school still. Until this year, when Miss Cassius wanted to go get her nails done with me. I was so excited, like embarrassingly excited, actually. And then after that, we started hanging out more and more, and I also started hanging out with people from my class. Almost everyone in my class became my new amazing friend group, and I didn't have many friends from before Oak Grove anymore, except for 2 of them, who are still 2 of my best friends to this day. I'm sorry that you could not be here, but I love you both. And all of these people, combined with the teachers at Oak Grove and my family, helped me get to where I am now. Next year, I will be going to Ventura College with a focus in psychology and a plan to transfer after 2 years. Thank you. There are a few teachers that have made a big impression on me over the few years that I have been here that I would like to give a special thank you to. Josephine, or Bo, you made every soccer and volleyball game more fun and have always helped me figure out my own way of working. Brittany, who has always been in my corner, even when she wasn't my teacher anymore. And thank you guys for making these 3 years even more amazing than they would have been. But the one person I need to thank most is my mom. I'm not looking at you. It's always been me and her, even when I was a brat, when I threw a huge fit over going to a school she knew would be good for me. She has always been my biggest supporter, and I am so thankful to have her as my mom. Honorable mention to my grandma for being the only person in my family who lets me rant without telling me that everything's going to be okay, since I was born into a family of intense optimists. Siege and Brandon for always being there for me through so many years of dealing with me in my life and being a part of my family. I always wanted brothers and never thought I would have them until they came along, and now I have 2 really great big brothers. Clay for being one of my biggest supporters over the past 2 years and always encouraging me to follow my dreams no matter what, and being there for every sad, happy, big, and small accomplishment that I have made. And the rest of my family for being there every step of the way and taking care of me in the best way possible. I love you guys. Thank you for everything. Poetry for days. Don't mistake them as quiet. Their words have volume. Sieren.
I had a very surreal moment recently at my final Oak Grove field day. As all of us seniors were standing in front of the younger students gathered together for our tradition of blob tag, subconsciously I began to search for the 4th graders. I was shocked to see how small they looked and could not wrap my head around the fact that that is how I looked when I began my journey here at Oak Grove. When I joined Oak Grove in 2013, I was a shy little 4th grader who was afraid of everything new. I can't say that fear is completely gone, but Oak Grove has guided me and helped me to grow into the much more confident person I am standing before you. It is difficult to sum up all my years here, but Oak Grove has become another home for me. It is a place where I feel safe and supported. It makes it very hard to leave. I spent a lot of time this year being in denial that this day would come, dreading standing on the stage in front of you all, trying my hardest not to cry. But here I am, hopefully not crying. But let's be real, this day is too big not to shed a few tears. Moving on from Oak Grove, I will be attending Willamette University in the fall. It is a small liberal arts college in Salem, Oregon that is actually very similar to Oak Grove, with its small class sizes, tight-knit communities, and emphasis on student-teacher interactions. Oak Grove has shown me what I appreciate in my education, and without that, I would not have known what to look for in a college. I'm very happy with my decision, and I'm looking forward to growing and learning even more about myself and the world moving forward. I plan to study language and art, specifically ceramics and printmaking. I'm beyond excited to be in a new city and meet new people. Change has always been a challenge for me, but I'm ready as I'll ever be. I know that I have cultivated the skill set that I will need to be successful in college. I'm extremely grateful to have such an amazing support system, from my friends and family to my teachers and peers who have supported me throughout my entire time here at Oak Grove. I've grown into myself throughout these past years with my gender identity, communication skills, and passions. All of this is because the community of people that I've been surrounded by throughout my years here. I've made lifelong friends and memories that I wouldn't trade for the world. A friend of mine said recently that your room is a reflection of who you are as a person, and that really spoke to me. My room has always been a touchstone and safe space for me, which has made me very reluctant to move on from it. But so, being the person I am, I wrote a poem about it to end my speech. It's inspired by Anne Sexton's poem, Here in the Room of My Life. Here in the Room of My Life by Sieren Clayton.
Here in the room of my life, my red silk curtains have traveled with me through it all, carrying my stories and watching me grow, from a small child in Emeryville to a young adult in Ojai. Here in the room of my life, the orange walls glow brighter each day, filling the space with color and light. Here in the room of my life, well-loved books line the shelves with different realities to jump into when the green carpeted floors are invaded with woes and worries. Here in the room of my life, I know I am safe, I am comfortable, and everything is known. But here in the room of my life, everything is changing. From the orange-painted walls to the all-knowing curtains, my room is changing forever. My stuffed animals have begun competing for favorite, anxious not to be left behind. But there is only so much room in the future for the past, and they feel that reality becoming stronger. Here in the room of my life, I am beginning to think about the new space I will have to create, the new beginnings, and the new faces that will inhabit my room. The room of my life is shifting, and I'm making room for the future. Thank you. Beauty runs from their fingertips. A fantastic artist and friend, Parker Cook.
First, I'd like to apologize to my mom for not wearing the cap for this picture. It didn't want to stay on my head. Okay. And also, I want to thank all my friends and family for literally everything you've done for me. I would not be the same person I am today, which would be disappointing. Freshman year 2018, Ashton, our advisor, called us into his room and sat us down. We were each handed a piece of paper and told that we would be writing a letter to our senior self and that we were not to open it until the weeks before we graduated high school. I've decided that the best way to bring my high school career full circle was to read to you that same letter, minus some very embarrassing things that did not need to be included, and my response to that letter. Dear Parker, hey, haha, you're graduating. That's pretty cool. I hope you've been accepted into a cool art college or have plans to go to one. I hope you still want to be an animator, and I hope you have majorly improved on your art. Maybe your art account has more than 71 followers. Haha, I'm so lame. Have you seen any more Broadway plays, and are you still obsessed with musicals? I wish you could write back to me. That would be cool. Hey, did you ever finish that graphic novel that we were working on? How much different have the characters become? How is Michael liking high school? That's my brother. Oh my God, that's so weird to think about. He's only in 6th grade. How well can you draw realistically? I wish I could draw realistically well. It would be cool. Do you have an animation channel on YouTube? Also, are all your pets still alive? I hope so. Do you still want 2 different colored eyes? Me too. Well, just remember to be yourself and that I love you so much and I can't wait to see what we become. I love you, bye. This letter was accompanied by a lot of random drawings, as you can imagine, and some reminders from my freshman self. Electric guitar is cool and you should do it, and you are the best. After reading that, I've come to the conclusion that the best change is that I've hopefully widened my vocabulary more than using the word cool repetitively. Though you can all judge that for yourself as I read my response. Dear Parker, hi, I am graduating, and yes, it's pretty cool. You'll be happy to hear that I'll be attending Massachusetts College of Art and Design in the fall. With the hopes of majoring in illustration. It took us a lot of work to get there, and with a lot of tricky decisions to make, but in the end, we did it. I'm sorry to inform you that we no longer have a strong passion for animation, but it should come to no surprise of the tediousness of the art mixed with our lack of patience and motivation. We do, however, still appreciate it and dabble in it from time to time. We have an even stronger drive and connection and to focus more on illustration above anything else, which I think will get us far. I'd like to think that the last 4 years of endless drawing has improved our art maybe slightly, and based on the drawings in this original letter, I can promise you that that's the case. And as for our art account, I can probably say that we have over 5,000 followers. And yes, we're both a little lame.
There are many more Broadway plays in your future, and though you found other interests, that love for musical theater never really goes away. I'm happy to say that I can and am writing back to you, and I'm sorry to say you can't receive this letter, but some part of me feels satisfied with the contents of how things out in your response to your many, many questions. As for the graphic novel, you just made me realize how long it's really been in the works, as it is, still in the works. And so to answer your next question, yes, the characters have changed. I'd like to say that Michael enjoys high school, but constant complaining about workload puts my answer at a solid maybe. Though having him around definitely makes you enjoy high school a lot more than you used to. I'd like to say that I can draw realistically-ish. Still, it isn't an easy medium, but forcing yourself to practice such things for college portfolios sure makes a difference. YouTube isn't really the platform for us, and out of the 4 pets you were thinking of, 2 out of 4 still remain. I forgot about our weird obsession with the 2 different colored eyes thing. I don't really feel like it's a necessary thing in my life, but you do you. As for sticking to being myself, reading your letter has not only helped me to realize how much I've grown and learned as a person, but how close to my roots I stayed loyal. Thank you for setting me up to Thank you for setting me up to be someone I can be proud of. You have so much to overcome and realize. And when you two get to read back on your letter someday for your graduation speech, you too can feel more satisfied with this chapter of your life coming to a close. Thank you for everything you set me up for. I love you too. Bye. And some final reminders and responses back to little me. The electric guitar is fun, but spoiler alert, been there, done that, it is not as easy as it looks. Thank you for noticing. I am the best, and never change yourself for anybody else. Such a gentle soul, beautiful Miss Ladybug, spotted with kindness. Nicola Blunt.
Hi. Okay. So, yeah. For as long as I can remember, I've been sentimental. I was born with a sense of awareness around how temporary each moment is and have always felt the need to miss something before it's gone. I remember crying to my mom constantly about how scared I was to grow up. And when I entered the world of double digits and was, in fact, getting older, I made a promise with myself to never lose track of the present moment. It's always been difficult for me to look at baby pictures. My head fills with nostalgia and I begin to panic about how quickly time is passing and how I'll never be that young again. I've tried to discover the root of this certain scarcity about me, but after not coming to any real conclusions, I've learned to appreciate it. It keeps me close to my consciousness and brings clarity to my days. I feel a responsibility about making decisions because I know how tightly my choices hold the reins to the rest of my life. I have come to be grateful for nostalgia because it helps me appreciate my life more. It didn't always feel this positive, though, especially when I think about standing here doing this. This moment has been one of the most anticipated ones of my life, and I can't wrap my head around the fact that today I'm actually reading these words for the last time. This is it. No school tomorrow morning, no break to return from, no more high school milestones to look forward to, and no more time left to cling on to. And to be honest, this is a day I've dreaded since I made the jump from 5th to 6th grade. Today I'm making the bigger jump from childhood into adulthood, and I expected to be an overwhelmed, anxious mess. While I'm already probably emotional by this point in the speech, I want you to know that instead of panic and denial, it's love and happiness I'm feeling. I truly can't wait to move on to this next chapter in life, because as I grow away from all the memories that make up my childhood, I know I'm making space for the next round. The trace of fear I can feel inside is 5, 7, and 12-year-old me finally facing the moment they've always feared. But now that I'm actually standing here, and it's really not so bad, I'm taking the hand of each version of me that used to worry and feel them all relaxing a little. Coming to terms with the fact that I am in the stage of life that I used to fear is a weird but exciting moment, and as the last few weeks have been the first of many ends, my love for Oak Grove has settled in its own important place in my heart. 2 years have never felt so dense in my memories. It seems like I've been here forever. The first person I met at Oak Grove was Ame, and in the midst of COVID, I'll always remember asking if it was okay to give her a hug. Soon I met my slime, Cassius Calzini, when I showed her my favorite coffee shop in Ventura, and we worked on an English poster in the park. We actually did not work on the poster, and instead she told me about Oak Grove's wild inhabitants and their wild stories. This was the first of many assignments we would come to put off together. She's my school night savior, my Nikki queen. She showed me the ropes here at Oak Grove, and I don't know what I'd do without her here. Marie was the only teacher I knew here at Oak Grove, and it's funny to think about how intimidated I used to be of the rest. The amount of memories I've made with everyone here is overwhelming in the best way, giving me so much hope for the future and for what's to come. I look back on our class trip, Sydney, the single best substitute mother of a bunch of barely adults in Hawaii, Bo cooking the biggest pan of eggs I've ever seen each morning and laughing at our poker hands, Angela, the biggest sweetheart you'll ever meet with some unexpected stories, and Aaron, who taught us the history of hip-hop in a 2-hour car ride to Hilo. I'm really going to miss the faces I've gotten used to seeing each day. Brittany, you are the most East Coast California girl I've ever known. I strive to be as strong as you. Marie, you are my outfit inspiration, and you inspire me to remember how cool it is to be smart. Thank you, Will, for your dedication to my learning. You've never failed to challenge me. Oh, God. Gracias, Ras, por su paciencia y ayuda en mi viaje al español. Thank you, Sydney, for taking care of me when I'm down or stressed and always knowing the right thing to say. Thank you, Aaron Bennett, for your commitment to class each day. I love the books that you've shown me, and I'm thankful for your patience with the opinionated group that we are. Thank you, Aaron Gardner, for everything you've taught me, but mostly for bringing out my voice and for showing me poetry. You make me excited for my future. Thank you, Eric Sullivan, for helping me find my way back into music. I can't wait to take what I've learned from you and use it in my music for the rest of my life. Thank you, Nata, for being my twin flame and my night companion. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for always having my back and for loving me. Thank you, Justin, for all the light you've brought into my life, and even though you can't be here today, you continue to rest in power in my memories. Thank you, Mimi and Pop-Up, for getting me here. You are the reason I've been able to grow into the person I am, and I'm forever in debt to your kindness. Thank you to all my siblings, Georgia, Riley, and Mickey, for traveling to make it here today. Thank you to my class for welcoming me with such open arms, to the kitchen for my daily hard-boiled eggs, to the bench under the tree near the parking lot that supplied me many of my good study hall naps, to my lunch table, Joaquin, Mikkel, Ben, Mackay, and Izzy, and Cassius, to my student council, to my poetry class. I'm overflowing with gratitude for each single moment I've spent here, so I can't figure out how to stop, and I'm going to end with a poem. This is a moment I will wish to come back to, when I'm too old to speak, when I'm too exhausted to think. Today, my youth will clutch a nervous hand on the contents of this cap and gown, and with time, they will disintegrate together. This is a moment I will remember years down the road, each time I will celebrate the end, once again, only to find myself in never-ending new beginnings. I imagine standing here years before I got my license, years before fear glued my eyes to the rearview mirror, before each moment seemed to be this fleeting. This is the day I would go to in my mind in third-grade morning mirrors, grinning toothpaste teeth, when I'm filled with angst and hungry for freedom, thinking I've got a long way to go. I wish I had listened to the whisper that would say, slow down, each time I lost track of the never-ending present and woke up 5 years older. Because somewhere in my heart live all these memories that have made me. And now, here I am, real, ready, and in power. Thank you.
Thank you, seniors, for sharing those eloquent, poignant, heartfelt, and moving words. You showed us who you are and who you hope to be. Now, this is one of those milestones in your life where I just want you to take a moment to breathe and to savor. You're surrounded by people you love and whom you love. We're all wishing you well. Breathe it in. Now, before the seniors receive their diplomas, I want all of us to join together to send our love and congratulations to a senior who's not able to join us today. Please join me in sending everything out to Maxwell Arcee. Thank you very much. Cassius Ginger Calzini. Grace Wynn. Harrison James Love. Ravi Lyndon Segal. Julia Attioli de Moraes Gianetti. Lola Maxime Wyatt. Victoria Alejandra Cervantes. Yes, you may.
Thank you. I'm a little like missing arm. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks.
Lola can help you. Robert Byron Levitt. Earl Warwick Marvin. Cosmo Penny. America Martinez Jimenez Valdez. Lillian Kate Guerrero. Sieren Areno Clayton.
We're running out of room out here.
Yes.
We do have to scoot down because we made this work last time. So yeah.
Parker Jones Cook. Nicola Bell Blunt.
Please join me in congratulating the class of 2022. Please join us in the gazebo. We have some refreshments.